Hey Marvin, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And, I didn't talk to you during your recruiting process. I'm sure you talked about this a lot back in during the first time. But just could you just talk about how much you were around Florida State growing up, and just kind of how important this program was growing up?
Definitely was a lot of memories made here from being a kid, just seeing the pictures of my dad and stuff. Being a big fan of Jameis and all those guys, Dalvin. My cousin played here too, so I got to come watch him play a few times. So yeah, definitely a lot of time spent in this building for sure, growing up.
We'll go to Brendan, front row on your left.
You obviously had familiarity with Florida State as a high school recruit. After entering the transfer portal, I guess, what was that relationship like with Florida State? How did that help in kind of leading you here?
Obviously a lot of great connections built here during high school. Obviously I didn't make the decision to come here out of high school. But I know what kind of guy Coach Norvell is. I know what kind of guy JP was, Coach Fuller. So definitely helped. Having such a strong relationship with them in high school helped me make this decision a lot easier. So.
Stay there for Chris.
You mentioned you didn't choose here out of high school. You choose it out of portal. What was different for you the second time around with FSU, and what had Coach Norvell done in his time here that made it clear that this was a good place for you?
He definitely made it clear that he was going to come in here and make a change. You guys seen by the record, obviously. That definitely helped. And then just seeing the production from guys on the edge, Pat, Jared, Jermaine, definitely made it a lot easier for me to pick Florida State second time around.
Next will be Essen, second row on your left.
Coming from a program that won a national championship and reached the SEC championship last year in your time there, what can you bring to Florida State to get them to the next level, help them get that national championship?
Well, I think I can win. I can bring a winning mindset. I think Coach Smart has instilled a lot of those philosophies in me at my time there. So I think just being a leader, hardworking, and I know what it takes to win. So I think I can spread that information to my teammates now.
Now we'll come back to Ira on your right.
I think your dad during the process talked about not making it about him, and he was letting you make your decision, and I guess how good was that for you to not feel like pressure from him to follow in his footsteps? Yeah,
I definitely appreciate him not making the decision too hard on me. He let me know it's my decision. At the end of the day, he's not the one waking up, going to class anymore and stuff. So, he definitely was helping. It was very helpful. And allowing me to just be myself. Obviously, giving me advice. And I could tell he wanted me to come here the first time around, but he was definitely very helpful in my decision. So.
We'll go back to Brendan on your left.
What have your early impressions of Tour of Duty and just the off-season program been?
So this is my first winter workout. So it's definitely, it feels like a fresh start, kind of being able to lift in the off-season. Now, Tour of Duty definitely isn't fun, but I mean, it's work. I'm just happy to be here, honestly. So anything I have to do to get better, I'll do.
We'll come back to Essen.
Seeing the success of Jermaine Johnson and Jared Verse last year, and then just some of the defensive ends that have come through, how much did that factor into seeing that you wanted to come to Florida State and get to the next level?
Well, I never like to just feel like because they, came in here and did what they had to do, that it's just going to be easy for me. It's definitely cool seeing, that a defensive end, will strive in this scheme. So, I mean, just seeing those guys, I talked to Jermaine a few times, so he definitely has been helpful. But, I mean, seeing those guys' success has definitely been most motivational, so, sure.
We'll go back to Brendan in the front row.
You mentioned that you didn't have a maybe full off-season program previously. I guess what kind of detriment or difficulties that can provide, and then kind of following up on that too, like you got to play more and more as last season went on, or this past season went on. I guess how did that help you get those important in-game reps?
Well, I think me being able to work out and lift in the off-season helped me in every category: strength, speed, reaction time, just being able to move around before the season starts. I think is going to help me a lot. And then, I'm sorry, what was your second question?
To be able to get a more substantial role as the season went on, in-game reps, how did that help you?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, everybody knows, SEC schedule isn't ever a cakewalk. So being able to just get that experience against the top guys, NFL guys every week, definitely helped me for sure.
Next will be Kurt here, front row to your right.
Hey, Marvin, you talked about having a lot of great memories of Florida State growing up. I wonder if you remember offhand, I guess, a first memory or an early memory of Florida State, and I guess what's it going to mean for you? I'm sure you dreamed at times growing up of wearing the garnet and gold, getting to do that in a game.
Yeah, I would say some of my earliest ones were coming to watch my cousin Fred play here, getting that picture with Dalvin, because he was like my hero growing up. But yeah, I mean, Dalvin inspired me growing up, and I hope that I can do the same for another, fan of Florida State. So.
We'll go back to Ira, second row.
I think they've done some things with their ends, letting them stand up sometimes.
Yeah.
I know you've stood up, and are you more comfortable either that way or with your hand in the dirt? And then also, I guess coming out of high school, what were some of the things you had to develop to get ready to be able to contribute at the college level?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'd say the biggest difference would be probably the strength, working just my run technique, because if you guys watch high school football down south, it's not really like huge O-linemen. It's a lot of, speedy receivers and stuff. So that wasn't something I didn't really go against, big offensive tackles in high school. So I say that was the biggest difference. And then what was your first question? I'm sorry.
You like standing up or being?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference for me. Obviously, just depending on the scheme, I'll do whatever I have to do. Yeah, I don't really have a preference on stand-up or hand in the dirt.
Go back to Brendan.
You mentioned Dalvin Cook inspiring you. I guess what about his play or watching him growing up particularly stood out to you? Do you remember now?
I would just say seeing how, the city kind of rallied around him. He was, always just a positive figure, I felt like, in Tallahassee. And then him being from Miami, too, going to Central, just, kind of a local guy, so that helped. Sure.
Next will be Jordan, third row on your left.
Marvin, you mentioned it a little bit already, but what does it mean to see so many heritage guys on the team, the connections you have with them, and then also playing for Coach Sertan?
Yeah, definitely cool, having my guys, Earl and Devontae with me. It just helps, make this process a lot easier, the transition. Coach Pat's always been there for me. Even, before high school football, he's always, had a part of my life. So it's definitely cool having people that you're so comfortable with in the building every day.
We'll come back to Kurt, front row.
You're one of three defensive end transfers they brought in this offseason. I guess I know you haven't seen them in a football setting yet, but seeing them in tour duty, seeing them in the weight room, I guess what are your early impressions of the other two, Sione and Tomiwa? And I guess how impactful do you think the defensive line can be this season, even when replacing so many guys off last year's team?
I mean, those guys are, hard workers. Definitely, a blast to be around every day, work out with, just, talk to off the field. And I can't say enough about, how those guys work already. That's just my early first impressions. And then I can't wait. I think we have athletes all across the board on the D-line. Like I said, guys just wanting to work, and, guys that have, had experience and played before. So it should be fun.
Our next will be Aslan in the back right.
Yes, Mark, what are some of the things that kind of contribute into wanting to start over? And are you starting to maybe see some of the things that you wanted to in your decision kind of playing out now?
Sure. I wouldn't say I'm starting over. I would just say, not everybody's path is the same. I feel like I had to do what was best for me. And I can't say enough about how excited I am for this season. I'm adding on more weight, just looking to have the impact that, I know I can have.
Go back to Ira on second row.
You mentioned, Florida State was in it the first time. So obviously they were on your mind when you went in the portal. How many schools came at you when you went in the portal, and were you even listening to a lot of them, or did you already have an idea of which ones you would even listen to?
I'm gonna be honest. I was like logged out of my Twitter forever, so any DMs that I may have gotten just weren't seen until way after. So I mean, I kind of knew I wanted to come to Florida State either way. So I mean, yeah, I wasn't really much of a decision. Honestly, I knew what I seen what Coach Norvell has done. I know what kind of man he is, so it wasn't a hard decision, honestly.
Yeah, you mentioned, that your dad was excited that you come back to Florida State. What was his exact reaction when you mentioned, you're coming? What was that conversation like? What was his excitement level?
He's not gonna ever give me too much emotion. He doesn't ever want to feel like he's biased towards a certain situation, because he wants what's best for me. But I could tell in his tone that he was excited, just asking me about just little stuff, my house, how I'm moving, whatever, going out to dinner and stuff. He just couldn't wait to really get me settled in here. So yeah.
I'm sure living with high expectations is something you've done your whole life with your name. And then the hype coming out of high school, and then the hype now Florida State fans are expecting of you now. How have you always dealt with that? Not be either being bothered or feeling pressured by those expectations?
Well, I think the high expectations come from, the outside. Like, those aren't really, obviously I have high expectations for myself, but other people's, thoughts or questions about me have never really ever crossed my mind. I don't really think about what anybody else has to say about me, whether it's good or bad. I don't think that helps me because, I don't know. My mom always taught me to stay humble. Really, it's her doing. She's kind of kept me on the right track. But yeah, I just don't really feed into anything outside. It doesn't really do any good, I feel like. So.
All right, we're going to come to Zoom for a question from Logan Robinson.
Hey, Marvin. Real quick, you said that you were adding some weight on. What is the plan with Coach Storms this spring?
As far as my weight, Coach Storms and I have talked about getting me into like the 260, 263 range, just to add more strength, help in the run game. And obviously, it's a different scheme, so my hand will be down a lot more, so I feel like the added weight will definitely help.
Ira?
Did you know Pat at all coming up, Patrick Pyton, and how have the older guys accepted the new guys in that room?
Yeah, me and Pat, we played against each other one time in high school. Thankfully, I gave him his last high school game. I gave him his last loss in the playoffs. But yeah, and we've talked back and forth. But yeah, and we didn't really, connect, I guess, after that game or whatever. But and what was your second question?
How the older guys have accepted the younger guys in that room?
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, the newer guys. Everybody, like I said, has been extremely, accepting. Just feel like I'm part of a new family already. I know I can go to Pat, with any questions, Daryl, Josh, anybody. And I've seen the same. I've seen them give the same treatment to, Nusi and Tommy. So.
Good? All right, thanks, Mark.
Cool, appreciate y'all.